Hello, I'm Marcus Boston. Quick educational video today, and we're going to talk about HIE and a subsequent cerebral palsy diagnosis. Before I get too deep into the video, I want to help you understand that term HIE, because a lot of times when families contact us and they're looking for help with a birth injury or a birth trauma investigation, this is the first time in many instances that they've heard of that term HIE, and a lot of times there are questions. So HIE is short for hypoxic ischemic encephalopathy. And in the context of this video, we're going to use as a working definition for HIE as a reduced level of blood and oxygen, which can lead to a brain injury. I'm not going to get too deep and technical into HIE in this video because I've got a lot of other videos on my website and on our YouTube page which talks about HIE. But the context of this video is how an HIE diagnosis in some instances can then lead to a subsequent CP or cerebral palsy diagnosis. When families contact us, a lot of times they are looking for an investigation into what happened. How did their baby get this HIE diagnosis? Was there something that was missed? Because for them, a lot of times it can be confusion, especially when mom had an uneventful pregnancy. She went to all of her doctor's appointments. There were no problems on that end, and gets to the hospital, maybe a sonogram was done and a lot of things on the front end, and there were no problems. Everything seemed to be going well. Well, we fast forward in the time, we get through labor and delivery, and then at the end of everything, they noticed that the baby it was a vaginal delivery, and they noticed that the baby may have been blue in color, or the baby may not have been crying, or the baby looked floppy, or there were poor APGAR scores, or the baby had to be resuscitated. There was a handoff to the NICU or the neonatal team, and all of these things are going on. And then as they get through everything, maybe there was hypothermia cooling that was used for the baby. And with all of this, they're being told now about this HIE diagnosis. And as I said earlier, HIE is a reduced level of blood and oxygen, which can lead to a brain injury. And there can be multiple reasons as to why this can occur during labor and delivery, with one being umbilical cord problems. There could be issues with the umbilical cord, or there could be placental problems. But during labor and delivery, there are tools that doctors and nurses can use to help them be able to see how well the baby is doing with a vaginal delivery. And so that tool, one of the main tools that's used, is called the electronic fetal heart monitor. And it's used in hospitals all across the United States. It's used, and what it does is it helps doctors and nurses be able to assess the baby's well-being, be able to assess how well the baby is tolerating a vaginal delivery. Where problems can occur is when the electronic fetal heart monitor is showing that the baby is in a condition called fetal distress. And that fetal distress, it goes on. It's not properly diagnosed. It's not properly treated. And because this is the case, then you can have the baby, as time goes on and nothing is done, or the conservative measures are no longer working, the baby can suffer a brain injury. And in some cases, that brain injury can be because of a reduced level of blood and oxygen getting to the baby, which leads to a brain injury. Remember, reduced level of blood and oxygen, HIE, reduction in blood and oxygen, which causes or leads to a brain injury. So that's HIE, in a nutshell for this video. And the reason why in some cases, children who have an HIE diagnosis or have an HIE brain injury, traumatic brain injury, the reason why they can have a subsequent CP or cerebral palsy diagnosis is because cerebral palsy is, in its basic sense, it is a movement disorder. In a lot of instances, it affects the baby's movement. It affects things like their arms, in some cases, trunk and core issues, legs. It's a movement disorder. And the reason why you can have an HIE diagnosis in CP is it's going to depend on the area of the brain that was injured during that HIE injury. And if you've got areas of the brain that are injured that that control movement and control those types of things, then a baby can see that subsequent CP diagnosis down the line. Now, and a lot of this is going to also depend on the severity of the injury. The severity of the injury is going to also play a role in a lot of these cases. So I know that I talked about a lot here, and the purpose of this video today is to just help you get a basic understanding of these issues and why, when families contact us, what we are doing when we're looking to investigate these issues for parents, to try to get answers for them as to how did this happen, and not only how did it happen, what can be done in the future in regards to resources, in regards to helping these children or helping your baby meet these challenges going forward. If you have more questions, if you would like to speak with me further about what's going on with your baby and your child's story, there's a telephone number down below. Go ahead and pick up the phone and call me. I talk with families all the time about CP, about HIE, MAS, brachial plexus injuries, whole other types of traumatic injuries. This is what we do. One more thing. Before I get out of here, I want to make sure that you understand that I practice law here in the state of Maryland. And if you are not in Maryland, because the video is on the internet, you got to understand that we have to use what we call co-counsel or local counsel, an attorney in your area, to help push the case through. This is something that we think that we can help you with. All right, that's going to be it for today's quick educational video. Again, I'm Marcus Boston, and I'm one of the childbirth injury and medical malpractice attorneys practicing law here in the state of Maryland at Boston Law Group, LLC. And we will see you next time. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.